Good afternoon. I've been promising you all an unboxing video, and I'm finally able to do it. This is the Enchanted Spell Oracle, and it's going to be the Oracle deck that I'm using for the month of February. So I figured, why not combine an unboxing and an introduction to a new Oracle deck? So I saw this one on the shelf in the store, and the illustration is what caught my eye first. I love this medieval manuscript type illustration. They're so vibrant, and they always have so much symbology packed into them. I love being able to work with them, unpack the symbology, unpack what the deck is trying to say to me. Now this one, the other thing that attracted me to it is it comes with botanical information, symbolic meanings, and kitchen magic. Each card has its own recipe or spell attached to it. So if you want to, you can really work with the energy of that card. So we're going to take a look and see. It has the cute little book. A lot of the times I get rid of the cute little book, but I think I'm going to be keeping this one because each card is one's integrity. So it talks about the ivy, which is the plant that is featured on the card, and it talks about what it was used for in the Middle Ages and the symbolism. Ivy is said to bring growth, understanding, and renewal. And it grows in a spiral formation, which makes it one of the plants of the goddess. Then it talks here about the symbolism of the card, what all the pictures in the card mean. Then it talks about the divination meaning, what the card is possibly saying to you. And then this one has an ivy green spell. For if you're struggling with a decision, the following practice helps you find your true north. And it has something like that for each one. Some of them have, this one has a joyful spell. And I noticed that some of them, it's a prosperity potion attached to the prosperity card. What a surprise. Purity has some reed magic. So it's going to be a very handy little book to reference, not just for the divinatory meanings, but to really be able to dive into the symbolism of the cards and to play with those recipes. The cards themselves, I love the back. It's very simple, which I find helps me to not get distracted. I like the fact that there's only one way up. It's a thing. So let's have a look at some of the illustrations. They're all very, very vibrant, and even from a quick glimpse, you can see that they're stacked full of different symbolism. Energy here has the apple tree, the moon. There's a lot of goddess symbology in here. Faith, obviously there's an angel with this little halo. I would have to spend a lot of time studying the book to actually start to unpack all of the symbology we're seeing in this deck. There's the card that's used on the front deck, Love, and it looks very similar to the Lover's card from the tarot. The birch tree here, and this actually also references the Celtic tree months. This is fern, I believe it is, the first letter in the Druidic tree alphabet, and I could have that letter wrong. I think it's fern. So a lot of the cards do have their Celtic tree month referenced, and this is the Celtic astrology that has grown up around the neo-pagan meanings that have been ascribed to the ancient Celtic alphabet. Because all of these tree meanings and the astrology is very new. The alphabet itself is incredibly ancient, but the tree meanings, the divinatory meanings, these have all been ascribed to these letters within the last 200 years. It doesn't make them any less valid. It just means that they're newer. So, what I do with each new deck is I have a card spread that I do, that I've shared with a lot of you. And it's the Interview Your Deck card spread. And I have this little notebook in which I have kept a record of all of the Interview Your Deck spreads that I've done. And it has the deck name, the date that I do the spread, and what the answers are to each one. It's all recorded in my abysmally scrappy handwriting. But that's okay, because this is for personal reference. And the questions that I ask are very, very simple, but they help to give me an idea of the personality of the deck and of what it can be best used for. Each deck has its own strengths and weaknesses. It has its own favorite topics, and it has its own way of teaching. So what you want to do to use the deck to its optimum is to actually use the right deck for the question. So we'll give the cards a little shuffle here. And the first question I always ask is, what are you here to teach me? Because this is a very good question to ask. Each deck has something slightly different to teach us. And the answer here is opulence. And there's an awful lot of symbology to unpack in that card. But basically the deck is saying that it's here to teach us how to see the luxury and abundance that we already have. We get so fixated on what we think we're lacking that we forget what we already have. And just a little bit of the symbology. We have the wings here. These could be butterfly wings for transformation. We have the labyrinth where the womb would be for the bringing forth of more riches. There's a lot of symbology here in these sigils. I'm going to have to look those up because I think we need to know what they are. All right. The priestess is upside down with a serene smile. Yep. And she actually reminds me very much of the Hanged Man in tarot. So she's got the sweet orange blossoms around her that are thriving, as are we. Purple, the color of opulence and royalty. There's the overflowing cups there on her wings. Once again, we have so much that it is overflowing. This is the Latin word for wealth here, opulentia. Wealth is a feeling of abundance and its material riches. And this here is the key of Solomon for good fortune. That's what that is. It doesn't actually mention what those two sigils are. That's okay. So, it's here to teach us what we already have and how to see just exactly how wealthy we are. There's always good things to see. The next question I ask is, how can I get the best out of working with you? Some cards are really good for quick dashed communications. Other cards not so much, and this is a not so much. Treat its use as a ritual, not a throwaway. So this deck really wants us, when we consult it, to take the time to make a special time to do so. Incense, candles, planning out the ritual, giving ourselves time away from everyday life to actually simply be with the cards and consult the cards. Let's have a look at some of the symbolism. So the priestess there is wearing the blue woad because she's about to embark on a very powerful ritual of the moon. And she has the moon symbol here, the triple goddess moon symbol, painted down her body. And the ritual she's about to perform symbolizes moving from one phase of life to the other. In this case, from maiden to mother. She's surrounded by the waxing and waning phases of the moon. You can see them around here. And her belly, painted with the triple moon goddess symbol. And the Scots Gaelic words here, I will not even try to pronounce them because I don't speak Gaelic, but they translate to moon belly. So this is indicative of a very powerful, it could be a drawing down the moon ceremony, but a powerful moon ceremony invoking the essence of the goddess. So the cards want you to take the time out to make a ritual out of consulting them. The next question I ask is, what's your personality? Because every deck of cards is different. Patience. This is a beautiful thing for a deck of cards to have. So they're a deck that will happily work with us until we get it. Some decks get a little impatient when we ask for clarification for the third or fourth time. Not this deck. This deck is quite happy to work with us until we truly understand the message. And it's a deck that will happily and tirelessly teach us and guide us. And it will help us to map out our steps and find the goals that we need to meet to get where we want to be. So that's a wonderful thing to have. So what subjects does this deck prefer? Some decks are really good at shadow work. Some decks are really good at divinatory work. Some, each deck has its own preference. Decks really are a lot like people in that way. So this deck prefers clarity. It prefers to be answering our questions. It prefers to be helping us see things clearly. And it likes to paint detailed pictures of what it is we need to know in any given situation. So there we have it. That is the Enchanted Spell Oracle, and this is going to be February's Oracle deck of the month. So you'll see more of this as I unpack it over the month and we see what the cards have to say to us on a day-to-day basis. I got this deck from Zinzeudo. It's where I get at least 90% of my decks from. I like to be able to handle decks before I buy them, which is why I tend to avoid buying them online, because you really can't feel the energy of a deck when you're picking it out on the computer screen. But I will provide a link to where Jen has it in stock, and I will be back next month with another unboxing video.